The Society for Adolescent and Young People's Health in Nigeria, SAYPHIN, is a youth-focused organization dedicated to promoting the dignity, capacities, confidence, character, and active involvement of young people in national health and development agenda. The organization focuses on building greater capacity and promoting adolescent health research and effective services in sub-Saharan Africa. In line with SAYPHIN's objective to increase awareness about the health and development situations, as well as the needs of adolescents and other young people in Nigeria, health and development advocates, youth enthusiasts, and stakeholders across Africa came together for the third Nigeria Conference on Adolescent and Youth Health and Development, EKO 2023.
One of the things we have been particularly fastidious about is selecting the next venue based on what we know as the capacity on ground to organize it. Believe me, it takes a lot to organize this. The planning takes about 2 years. So once we finish, we finish it today, we take a break for a month, and then we are back rolling out the plan towards next one. So it takes a lot of acute planning, it takes a lot of commitment, it takes a lot of dedication.
The event was organized by SAYPHIN in partnership with the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, and other sponsors and partners. The theme of the conference was Achieving 2030 Targets, Driving Innovation for Adolescents and Youth Health. The event was held at the Zone, Plot 9, Bagada Industrial Scheme, Bagada Aworosoki Expressway, Lagos, Nigeria, from the 16th to 19th of August, 2023. Present at the event were the President of SAYPHIN and the Vice-Chancellor of the University for Medical Sciences, Ondo State, Professor Adeshegun Fatisi. The First Ladies of Ondo and Lagos State, Her Excellency Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun, and Her Excellency Dr. Mrs. Claudiana Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, who was represented by Dr. Omobonale Johnson, Secretary of the Medical Women Association of Nigeria. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Lagos State, Dr. Olusegun Ogboye. UNICEF Chief of Health, Dr. Eduardo Celandes Blanco, and the Officer in Charge of UNFPA Nigeria, Mr. Macaulay Sabum Christian.
I think it's just been a lot of positive energy for me, especially at SAYPHIN, people who care about young people's health. And in our case, we focus on sexual and reproductive health and rights for everyone, including young people. And so it's really great to meet young people, not just the young people, but the people who do the work, really, to listen to them and to work with them and to prioritize their health. So that's been very inspiring, and I'm just very grateful to be included in this space with everyone else.
Other notable guests and speakers at the conference were the Chairman, Board of Trustees for SAYPHIN, Professor Oladapo Ladipo OON, General Secretary for SAYPHIN, Professor Adeshola Olumide, the Associate Director, Maternal and Newborn Health at UNICEF New York Headquarters, Louis Person, Chairman of the Board of West African Postgraduate College of Medicine, Professor Akin Oshigbogun, Director, Family Health Department, Federal Ministry of Health, Dr. Stella Nwonsu, Chairman, SAYPHIN Local Organizing Committee, Professor Kofoworola Odeyemi, Co-Chair, SAYPHIN Local Organizing Committee, Dr. Gbenga Adebayo, and the Secretary, SAYPHIN Local Organizing Committee, Rhoda Robinson, amongst other dignitaries.
So one of the things that is that we introduced in this conference is to make a platform for examining policy changes. Because 2 years ago, for example, this conference, the second edition, this edition 2 years back, was the platform that the Federal Minister of Health had to launch the policy. And one of the things we have been able to do at this, what introduce is to say, this conference must not just be about science, but must also about letting us critically discuss what we are doing about policy. This conference this year, for example, witnessed for the first time a presentation on the Nigerian Youth Index, which has not been there. So these are all policy-related instruments that we can move forward advocacy. We also think about one of the other things we've done this year is to bring in technology. So because this is about innovation, we brought in young people who are working with entrepreneurship technology space, where they're using a lot of technology to drive its agenda, to develop messages for young people, to track gender-based violence.
The event kicked off with the Youth Pre-Conference on Wednesday, 16th August. These special events provided the opportunity for young people from around the world with diverse backgrounds to meaningfully engage in and lead conversations. Discussions centered on sexual and reproductive health, rights and justice, inclusivity, identity, diversity, and gender equity.
Over the past 1 year, I've been working with young people to organize this conference, the Youth Pre-Conference session of the SAYPHIN EKO 2023.
This year conference, the Youth Pre-Conference, was highly, interesting because we have different young people from different parts of the world joining us live, including persons living with disability, coming together to discuss issues affecting them, as well as providing solutions to it.
One of the things that have been missing within the adolescent and youth space is the fact that we've not been having data that also analyze the problems and the challenges of young people. Particularly, synergizing this data has been a big problem for us as a country. Because I know very well that if we have data that is supportive, that is harmonized, we can then identify problems, or we can then identify solutions to some of the problems that the data are bringing to us.
The pre-conference featured presentations from youth speakers and several sessions hosted by organizations like UNFPA, HACI, Lancet Commission on Adolescent Health, and FP 2030.
We are here because we work with adolescents, we work with out-of-school adolescents 15 to 19 years in Lagos and Kano to improve their health and well-being. It's primarily a family planning project, but we have a lot of things we also do: substance abuse, mental health, and also gender-based violence, and recently even menstrual hygiene. At this conference, we are here because we brought the adolescents, also came to showcase some of our work that we do with the adolescents. We just finished having a session on substance abuse and the menace, and how we need a lot of government into that space.
On Thursday, 17th August, the main conference kicked off with an opening ceremony, including goodwill messages and special remarks from distinguished guests and the keynote address by Her Excellency Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun.
The year 2020 marked a turning point for us, both in the fact that we saw increased rates of violence against women, but also that for the first time, the governors of the 36 states of the Federation jointly declared a state of emergency against gender-based violence. This was in response to the sharp increase in rape, sexual assault, and murder of women and girls during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Over the subsequent days, the conference delved into oral and poster sessions with 7 sub-themes and categories. The categories of topics discussed include inclusivity, equality and diversity in adolescents and young people's research and programs, gender-based violence and the health and well-being of adolescents and young people, and adolescents and young people in conflict and humanitarian situations.
The high points of the EKO 2023 conference has been majorly the outpour of knowledge and sharing knowledge, experiences with other stakeholders, sharing their ideas, and of course sharing their findings from the reports and research that they have conducted in their various fields. And I believe that that is majorly, for me, that is my high point. As a young person, it gives me a broader view to the field that I've chosen to play in, which is public health and, of course, advocating for sexual and reproductive health and rights, specifically for young people. So giving access to all this information and knowledge, it means that I'm going to be building better when it comes to improving the lives of young people with the work that I do.
There have been so many highlights, but I think the first thing is just having adolescents as youth speakers during the conference. I think that was a major highlight of the conference for me, because it means that we're not just only talking, but we're actually walking the talk by ensuring that adolescents are within spaces like this, talk about the challenges and issues they are facing and how they are solving those challenges and problems. Another thing that was really striking for me was how we are using innovation, technology, as well as entertainment. So we had like a dance drama that was used to provide information on sexual reproductive health and rights, which was an easier way to communicate that message to adolescents and young people.
Even though the one that happened in Abuja in 2021 had adolescents as moderators and young people, but this year is with a difference, and this is why I'm saying it. All the concurrent sessions, and when I mean concurrent sessions and even plenary sessions, you see adolescents chairing it. So I give you an example. Yesterday, someone walked up to my executive director that she should give her names of young people from my organization to be co-chairs at abstract presentation. For me, that's the way to go, because you cannot do conference for adolescents and we have somebody who is up to 70 leading the conversations. Yes, they are learned, they have it, they have the experiences, but adolescent connects more with another adolescent. For me, that's the change. And also lastly is that this conference and the different sessions has been able to engage different adolescents in their diversities. You can see adolescents with disabilities in the conference.
Other categories are adolescents and young people, migration and cultural transitions, climate change and the impacts on adolescents and young people's health and development, adolescents and young people and the Sustainable Development Goals, and electronic media use and digital health and young people's health and development.
Yeah, it was quite expository, an intelligent session, those by the individual fellows, and the one particularly from Sparkle, the project lead, Professor Fatu, was able to really tell the people and those that were participating what we're really doing, and the reception was quite great. In fact, they lauded the project, and they were really expecting, and they are really expecting that the government will really key into it and use it for the betterment of the nation and the people, especially the youths and the adolescents.
I think now is more than ever the time to look at them. Now there are a lot of other programs that we've left out adolescents and young people. It's time to pay attention to them. You talk about things like substance use. You want to also look at sexual and reproductive health challenges of young people. You also want to look at educating them, providing services to them, and then looking at other innovative ways that we can reach out to them and also develop them in terms of their mental status and all that.
The conference also featured the award presentation ceremony for the Mindscape Mental Health Arts Competition, a special event sponsored by UNICEF and ASR Africa.
The other innovation that for me I find very exciting this year is the use of arts. We had a Mindscape competition that was supported by UNICEF and ASR initiative.
This was something that came up when we were looking for how can we engage young people more, and then looking at the scourge of mental health issues, mental disorders amongst adolescents and young people. And of course, that's a reflection of what is happening in the society at large. So how do we draw attention to this? How do we get these young voices also to voice the issues that they are confronted with, from mental, from substance abuse, gender-based violence, coping with depression, and the entire spectrum of mental health.
So we thought, what could we use to pull young people in to make it even more related or targeted? And then we said, okay, so let's come up with an arts conversation, and that is why we decided.
It's really, really amazing. I don't know where all those entries or those ideas came from. And when you go through the different kind of all the different submissions, they are really, really amazing. And then when you read up the background story of what this art is all about, it's intense. When you read about, they talk about their experiences or experience of somebody very close to them, or sometimes it's based on abstract or whatever. But really, it was deep, and it's really revealing.
There were also other engaging activities such as the aerial dance troupe, drama presentations, games, and contemporary dance performances. Organizations also had the opportunity to exhibit innovative products, services, opportunities, and ideas. Attendees were welcome to visit booths, explore and engage in discussions with exhibitors. The conference drew more than 500 adolescents and young people in physical attendance and over 300 participants joining remotely through streaming platforms and viewing centers across the country.
The conference has been nice. I've learned a lot of stuff about different health things. I learned about HIV, I learned about intersex people, I learned about so many things.
It was UNICEF that sponsored me from Kaduna State. And I've learned a lot from the beginning to this very end. And EKO 2023 has been the most memorable occasion that I've ever been. And this is my first time even coming to Lagos.
My name is Dr. Shobefu Esther. I work with the United Nations Population Fund, the third National Adolescent and Young People Conference in Nigeria, and it was mind-blowing. We had a lot of speakers who talked about sexual reproductive health, who talked about various innovations, digital innovations.
Speaking at the conference, Professor Adeshegun Fatisi emphasized the crucial role of adolescent health and development in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. He called for innovative approaches, highlighting that the business-as-usual approach wouldn't suffice to improve the health and development of Nigeria's adolescents. Professor Fatisi further called for improvement in the area of education, where youths are given the platform to amplify their voices and leverage on their creativity, adding that legal action should be strengthened to guarantee the safety of youths across the country.
In this conference, I saw a lot of exhibition of creativity and resourcefulness by the young people. And I found, so very many exciting aspects of the conference. And I learned a lot as well. I mean, there was so much transfer of knowledge, so much information flying all around the place. And it was actually quite amazing to see and observe and, find out that a lot of our young people are actually so intelligent and they're doing great stuff, so it's impressive. The turnout was absolutely fantastic.
In his address, Mr. Macaulay Sabum Christian highlighted the importance of nurturing the potential of Nigerian youth through informed policies and investments. He further reaffirmed UNFPA's commitment to advocating for the rights and empowerment of young people.
The theme of this year's conference, Achieving 2030 Target, Driving Innovation for Adolescent and Youth Health, is a call to action that resonates with urgency and promise. Achieving the SDG and the 2030 target is ambitious, based on the broadness and complexity. However, this can be achieved through innovation for development driven by young people that constitute an important portion of our population.
In her goodwill message, Her Excellency Dr. Mrs. Claudiana Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu emphasized the need for stakeholders to collaborate to support youth in health, socio-economic growth, and financial matters, recognizing their significance in nation building.
The youth are the strength of every nation and play a vital role in the society by utilizing their skills for economic growth and political stability of the society. It is important to stress that the youth have the power to make a difference in nation building. It is expedient for us as stakeholders to collaborate towards providing adequate support for them relating to health, socio-economic, and financial growth.
Also speaking at the event, Her Excellency Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun called for the engagement of adolescents and young persons in developmental plans and activities at all government levels. She stated that the conference would provide the opportunity for a lot of participants and stakeholders to discuss how young persons can be progressive. She also stressed the importance of addressing the immediate and long-term needs of those affected by gender-based violence.
On gender-based violence and protecting yourself when you are subject to violence in whatever form for life, and you just don't need it. So as much as possible, stay away from that extreme form of action. Try not to kill or to maim. Run away if you can. Speak if you can. Times are different now. If you speak up, you'll get help.
In her address, Louis Pearson noted that the Sustainable Development Goals serve as a guiding light to drive innovation and address the multifaceted challenges faced by adolescents. She emphasized that the goals are interconnected, and by focusing on them, the innovative potential of our young generation will be unlocked.
For 2023, this is an important gathering. It is an important milestone because it is a collective journey of young people and us, and we are going to look what we have done and where we're going to move to. Especially, I want to thank SAYPHIN and the other partners who have worked tirelessly to make this conference a reality. For UNICEF, the Sustainable Development Goals serves as the guiding light. These goals are interconnected, the 17 of them, and we're focusing on zero hunger, quality education, gender equality, decent work, and economic growth, reduce inequalities, and climate action. We can unlock the innovative potential of our young generation.
Other speakers and young participants at the event hailed the success of the conference and also had this to say.
I think one of the key points that we should take away from this conference include the fact that the young people are ready to actually take charge of their own health, their own well-being, because when you see the turnout at this conference, the young people really came out, they were involved, they had a voice to speak out, to tell the world that these are our needs, these are our desires, these are where the gaps are.
As a CSC comprehensive sexuality education advocate and champion, I was also able to join a panel session to present the lessons we've learned from our research and our implementation on CSC in Lagos State. Apart from that, it's a conference where young people were at the forefront. They were the people leading, they were the people bringing up the action. We've been able to learn a lot from the young people.
I really liked the session that we had during the pre-conference on mental health, because mental health, as we all know, mental health for adolescents, mental health for young people is very important, and most times mental health is slept upon. We keep talking about physical health and why we should have a physically healthy adolescent, but mental health isn't really emphasized on. So I'm super happy that EKO 2023 has mental health representation, representation on gender-based violence, family planning, educating youth on the proper use of technology.
Okay, so let me say from the start, the youth conference was amazing. Having to hear from different youth, talking about stigma and discrimination, talking about how to do your family planning, talking about mental health, and the panel section, having my own coordinator, Aaron Sunday, on it, talking about the experiences so far, the fight and the battle they had to do to implement for youth and adolescents, to bring them to the table. And that day, what I took home was, you can't plan me without me. That is, you can't do anything for the adolescent without adolescent being on the watchboard.
Okay, the high point for me, I won't lie, would be the sex education. So I didn't have a luxury of that when I was younger. So, and then this is like a safe space, an open space to, I didn't have that luxury when I was a child. So it looked like it is making me more open-minded to how I can talk about sex education to people who are younger, and to heal that child, that wounded child when I was a girl, that I wish I knew about more.
The 4-day events came to an end on Saturday, 19th August, with a grand gala night featuring award presentations to members of the local organizing committee. The SAYPHIN conference occurs biennially, with the next one slated for 2025. To become a member of the Society for Adolescents and Young People's Health in Nigeria, visit www.sayphin.org for registration details.
We are youthful.